week 11 of the fantasy basketball season. Here's a few centers I would look to buy low and trade for this week. The first guy's Al Horford of the OKC Thunder. So Horford, he's been pretty solid with his new ball club this season here in OKC. But he's a player I think he'll get traded by the trade deadline on March 25th in 3 weeks now from this Thunder team. And on the season, he's ranked 105 in fantasy basketball, 14.2 points a game, 6.8 rebounds, 3.6 assists, 2 threes a game, 77% from the foul line, and 44% from the field is Al Horford. So Horford last season with Philly, the numbers, they weren't as high as they are now. He's averaging 3 more points a game, but everything else is pretty much similar for him. But in the last couple of weeks for Horford, the rankings went down just a bit. 11 points a game, 6 rebounds, 4.5 assists, a 3. And in this time, he's ranked 114, and he's shooting 37% from the field only. So Horford, he's a player that's a solid role player at this point and lead of veteranship. And for fantasy owners, I don't think you got to break the bank at all to get him, especially now that he's been struggling the last few weeks, is Horford. And the last 3 games for him, February 21st at Cleveland, 16 points, 8 rebounds, an assist, 2 steals. Then they had a ball game the 22nd, where it looks like he don't play back-to-backs really, so he sat that one out. February 24th versus the Spurs, 16 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists and 2 threes. And then February 26th versus the Hawks, he didn't play in that one either. And then once again, it was a back-to-back on the 27th he played. 6 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, and 2 blocks. So Horford, he don't play back-to-backs, it looks like. They're looking to trade him and hope he don't get hurt, obviously, is the Thunder. So they're taking it easy with him. And once again, I don't think he's going to play both of these games coming up here, March 3rd at Dallas and then March 4th at San Antonio. So he's a player you definitely could buy low here coming into the All-Star break here in Week 11. The next center is Nerlens Noel of the New York Knicks. And Nerlens Noel, he's filled in great for Mitchell Robinson. And this team, they really haven't missed a beat since Robinson's went down. And on the last few games, the Knicks have won 3 out of 4 with Noel starting out at center. On the season, he's ranked 109, 4.7 points a game, 5.9 rebounds, 2 blocks a game, 64% from the foul line, 59% from the field. But the last few weeks since he's been the starter for the Knicks, 7.4 points a game, 8.6 rebounds, 2.1 blocks, and assists a game, a nice 62% from the field, and 72% from the foul line. So Noel, he's obviously not going to score the basketball at a crazy rate or put up a lot of points, 7-8 points a game at most you're going to get from him. But the other tangibles he gives fantasy owners are definitely underrated. He's going to give you a decent free throw percentage. His field goal percentage is definitely going to be 50% or more on most nights. And he's going to get some rebounds, 8 to 10 rebounds per game and a couple blocks. And right now, he's still owned only in 61% of fantasy leagues. And he's a center that should get more notability. In one of my leagues, someone dropped him the other night, and I just scooped him up off the waiver wire. Why not? If I could get a center with good efficiency from the field and could block shots and get rebounds, because those categories, sometimes people don't pay attention to them. And if you're in a head-to-head league, you could sneak out that category with guys like Noel. And the last few games, February 27th versus the Pacers, 8 points, 7 rebounds, an assist, a steal, 2 blocks. February 28th at the Pistons, 8 points, 11 boards, 2 assists, 3 steals, 3 blocks. And then February 2nd at the San Antonio Spurs, 4 points, 12 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 blocks. So he's blocking the shots at a great rate. He's getting the rebounds. Obviously, you're not going to get the scoring from him, but he's giving you 5 or 6 categories like I mentioned. And a lot of fantasy owners, they probably don't like the low scoring. But if you need these other categories, he's definitely a buy low candidate, because I think he's going to be doing well for a while here until Robinson comes back. And no one's going to want a lot for Nerlens Noel, in my opinion. The next center is Christian Wood of the Houston Rockets. So Wood, he's been out with a bad ankle sprain the last few weeks now. But now he's going to come back after the All-Star break, which is definitely obvious for Christian Wood here. And he's been a good ball player this season. He's definitely taken me by surprise. And I thought last season was a fluke more than anything with this Piston team. But on the season, he's ranked 16th before he went down with 22 points a game, 10.2 rebounds, 1.3 assists, 9 steals, 1.5 blocks a game, 1.9 threes, 55% from the field, and 68% from the foul line. So he was putting up huge numbers, is Christian Wood. And now with DeMarcus Cousins out of town, he's going to play more minutes per game, in my opinion, is Christian Wood. And we'll see what else he can do for this Rocket team. But this Rocket team's in a tailspin. They're going to trade off a lot of veterans, in my opinion, at the trade deadline. After losing 12 games in a row now, ever since the James Harden deal went down, this team, they just faltered after winning a few games after the trade. And now they've definitely hit rock bottom. And hey, they got a few draft picks in the net deal, and good for them. They can rebuild on the fly pretty quick. But Christian Wood, he's going to be part of that nucleus and part of that rebuild. And right now, while he hasn't played, this is one of the last weeks where I believe you could buy him low. The next center is Brook Lopez to the Milwaukee Bucks. Brook Lopez, he's been on this list a few times this season, is Lopez, and he's been a solid player throughout his career. Not eye-popping numbers anymore like he did for the Brooklyn Nets in his heyday, but he's averaging 10.7 points a game, 5 rebounds, 1.5 threes a game, 82% from the foul line, 46% from the field for Brook Lopez. And in the last couple weeks, he's ranked 129 in fantasy basketball, 10.6 points a game, 5 boards, 0.6 assists, 1.3 blocks, and a 3 a game, and shooting 50% from the field. So those are the type of numbers you're going to get from Lopez. In some games, he's only going to score single digits and get a few rebounds, and then some games he'll step his game up and play pretty well. In the last 3 games for Lopez, February 25th versus New Orleans, 12 points, 5 rebounds, and assists, 3 blocks. February 28th versus the Clippers, 10 points, 3 rebounds, and assists, a steal, a block, and 2 threes. And then March 2nd versus the Denver Nuggets, 12 points, 5 rebounds. So Brook Lopez, he's getting the stats. He's putting up the decent numbers, but just like Noel, who I mentioned earlier, he's not going to be a guy that fantasy owners, they're going to want a whole lot for him. They might just trade him off in a basic 1-for-1 deal for like Brook Lopez for a Gary Trent or something, which is a pretty decent deal in my opinion, especially with CJ McCollum probably coming back in a week or two here where Trent's value will take a hit. But if you need a center, I think Lopez is a good buy low candidate. And you know he don't really get hurt. He plays a lot of games, and he's a good player to have on your roster. And the 5th and final center I would look to buy low or trade for is James Wiseman of the Golden State Warriors. Last week he was on the buy low list, and he's made it once again here in this one. And Wiseman slowly into the rotation. We've seen Looney start a few games since Wiseman came back, and Wiseman on the season for the 20-year-old rookie, he's ranked 230th in fantasy basketball, 12 points a game, 6 rebounds, 1.1 blocks, 63% from the line, and 51% from the field. And in the last few weeks since he returned to the lineup, 11.5 points a game, 4.8 rebounds, 71% from the foul line, and 58% from the field for Wiseman. So those are pretty decent numbers. Obviously, he's not getting the huge playing time since he came back. Only 20-25 minutes a game for Wiseman. And he returned February 23rd at the New York Knicks. 14 points, 2 rebounds, and an assist in only 16 minutes. Then February 24th at Indiana, 11 points, 5 rebounds, a steal, and a 3. Then February 26th versus the Hornets, 16 points, 4 rebounds. And then at the Lakers, that's a throwout game where they got blown out by 26 points, 5 points, 8 rebounds, and a block. But Wiseman, he's going to have peaks and valleys just like any other rookie where he'll have highs and lows. But he's a player, I think, in the second half of the season where this Warrior team's going to try to make a playoff push. He's going to get more playing time. And why shouldn't he? The guy's 20 years old, full of energy. And I think he can help this team and fantasy owners. And this is the time to go get him while his value's low. So the centers I would look to buy low or trade for here in Week 11 of the fantasy basketball season.